As a practical manager, he was explaining how he was able to turn around 2 or 3 establishments, and one of it was in Kerala itself, FICT. So, have the students ever thought of what is the difference between this chairman and the previous chairman? Because he explained that all the assets are the same, all the workers are the same, all the management cadres are the same. Only he has come into the picture. So, utilizing all the existing resources, what made Mr. Rai successful, which the previous management could not do? This is the thing we should probe. Can anybody tell me what is the difference? What is the basic difference? Yeah, please. Pardon?
Same thing, they same worker. We tested on the ability and trust on the worker. They can do all the things. Generally, top management does not trust the down.
But what prevented the previous management to not to trust the workers?
They want to trust, but things cannot go wrong.
Yeah, I understand. The basic idea is the consciousness of the manager is more important. The level of consciousness in which a manager works is more important than all the policies or things like that. Now, what do we mean by consciousness? Because what consciousness Mr. Rai was successful, and why he was able to look into the loopholes of this factory, which the previous person was not able to do. This is something which we have to probe. What do you mean by consciousness? First, we should know what we are talking about. What do you mean by consciousness? Consciousness is a subjective faculty of each individual, which he uses to manifest his ideas in any field. I would like to have some water. Somebody can give me some water, 1 glass of water. So we have to find out what is the difference in the level of consciousness of Mr. Roy and the previous management. I have come to the conclusion that it is the quality of the consciousness of the manager which will make him successful in his endeavor as a manager. Now, what do we mean by consciousness? Chetana bolta Hindi mein. I am not much conversant with Hindi terms, so you will forgive me for that. According to science, about 15.7 billion years ago, out of a big bang, this universe has come into existence. Let us say that it is true for our practical purposes. After some billions of years, from the gaseous state, matter has formed in the atmosphere. So if you are present at that time, you will see that probably you will be able to see a sea of rocks and minerals lying around in the whole of the universe. The same thing we can see in so many other planets in our solar system. Later on, we have seen that in our world, in our planet Earth, the life has evolved out of the dead matter. Now, what do you mean by evolution? Evolution is a process through which an involved thing evolves out of the continent. So we should assume that life was already involved in the matter, and in the correct circumstances, life has evolved out of matter. So if the evolutionary theory, if you go into the evolutionary theory of what is happening, what is the history of us, the human beings, if you look back in 15.7 billions of years, you will see that there is an evolution of consciousness from atom onwards up to the humanity level. You can see that. When life has evolved, the dead matter has to adapt its outside form for the flow of life. For example, you take a stone, a rock or a mineral which is just lying on the ground. it is inanimate. The life is not manifest in it, but the life is involved in it. When the life manifests in the matter, in a dead matter, it adopts a form, it adopts the flow of life. So we see that an evolution of form and an evolution of the involved faculties coming up in the picture. You can see that. And at the stage of the animal, in the next level of evolution, from plants to animal, we can see that a consciousness of what we call as a sense consciousness comes into picture. What is the distinction between an animal and a plant? An animal is capable of consciously sensing its environment and adapt its life and live accordingly. So you will see that at the beginning of the evolution, we don't have a consciousness which is manifest in stone. So we call it as inconscient. We call it inconscient, nevertheless all the involved things are there inside the matter. Since it is not evolved in the form, we call it inconscient. So we can call the plant as semi-conscient, and we call the animal as utilizing the sense consciousness. And what is the distinction between man and the animal? In what direction, in what level of consciousness the man is superior to the animal? This is what we have to investigate now. We are doing this investigation from the purpose of a self-management. An animal is managed by a sense consciousness through the instrumentality of what we call as a sensitiveness evolves in the animal. It is sensitiveness to the environment. For example, an animal has to face an enemy. It has to decide quickly what to do. This particular reflection in the sense consciousness, we call it as instinct. Instinct is the main faculty which provides the direction of life for an animal. Suppose it is under an attack, whether we should stand and defend or run away. The animal has no brain, no thinking capacity to evaluate all the parameters, then think and then decide and then run away or stay back. So the nature of the consciousness, the sense consciousness in an animal is the instinctiveness. This instinctiveness is supplied by a faculty called buddhi, which is involved in the sense consciousness. In an animal, buddhi is not separate from sense consciousness. Sense consciousness, we will call it as manas. Buddhi is not separated from manas in an animal, whereas in a human being, the buddhi has become a separate faculty. This is the major difference between the animal and the man.